everybody. This is the first conference post-COVID for me. So I am rusty. The last conference was Frontiers Conference in Amsterdam, which was amazing, but it was also 3 years ago. So yeah, things happened in between, and that's why the thing I'm talking about today is, I'm very sorry, it's management. So we have reached a part of the conference where we talk about management. But I can promise you that there will be no talk of KPIs, there will be no OKRs, and no managing words. I can promise you that. You can hold me to it. So what we're talking about today, you don't need to see my mouse, is a person-centered approach to engineering management, which is what I call my approach to engineering management. You will notice that it's an A, not a the, and we will talk about that later. So, I was interested in why do people leave their companies, especially in tech. So according to this survey, toxic company culture, low salary, poor management, lack of healthy work-life balance. Those are the main reasons, according to this study, why people leave their jobs in tech. Another study, uncaring leaders, unsustainable work performance expectations, lack of career development, lack of meaningful work, lack of support for employee health and well-being. To summarize, not person-centered management. So, who am I? Hi, I'm Eva Lettner. I'm in engineering management at a company called ThisDot. There is no current picture of myself with just me, so this is me and my wonderful best friend on a boat with loads of wine. It was this summer, it was great, there was wine. So, how does one become an engineering manager? You start out as a junior developer, then you become a senior developer, then you become an engineering manager. I don't know, not me. This is me. I started my career under the umbrella term of jobs that are placeholders until she's figuring out what she wants to do with her life. So, I don't know, everything I did, I was a restaurant manager, I was a receptionist, I was an assistant, all kinds of stuff, and then I found the wonderful world of tech, and I became a junior developer. And then I became an okay-ish mid-level developer, and then I became an engineering manager. And that is fine, because, to be honest, I've never needed to be a senior developer as an engineering manager before. So, that's really nice. Also, what qualifies me to talk about all of the stuff that I'm talking about here today? This is me on Wednesday with all of my favorite people. I graduated from my master's program, and I just put this here because I wanted a whole room of people to applaud me for writing a thesis. Thank you very much. So I graduated from a master's program called Communication and Counseling in a Business Context. So that means that everything I'm telling you today is science. Very cool, very fun. I basically studied my job, which was very convenient, and my thesis was on the impact of remote work on holding one-on-one meetings in international IT organizations. That's a very baroque title. Basically, I studied how to do one-on-ones successfully in a remote environment, which is what I do. So, as an engineering manager, you need a bunch of skills. So I did some research into what people require you to have skills in. Problem-solving skills, communication skills, emotional intelligence, technical skills, delegation skills, time management skills, being able to motivate and inspire, critical thinking, flexibility, understanding context, leadership, providing feedback, emotional intelligence. And none of these have anything to do with being a senior developer. That's why I don't need to be one, which is cool. I can be an engineering manager without the imposter syndrome of not being able to understand exactly everything the people who are much more qualified in what they're doing. So, yay, fun. But also that's a huge freaking list of stuff. So let's talk about a couple of them. What does engineering management actually look like? So I made a little pie chart. To me, engineering management is 3 parts: people management, administration, and stuff. Now, this is the engineering management part. A bunch of companies have engineering management roles that involve programming or some sort of engineering. This is not included in this pie chart. It can be 50% of your job, can be 80% of your job, can be 20% of your job. In my case, 0. Like it. So my daily life is people management, admin, and stuff. People management is everything from one-to-ones, organizing people's vacation times, making sure that everybody gets their feedback, that all of the assignments are done, everything. Admin is spreadsheets. I love spreadsheets. So that's basically everything that falls under running the department. And then stuff. I'm going to talk more about stuff. Because most of the time, this is what my week looks like. Now, the non-negotiable is always the people management needs to have enough time, because that doesn't go away. The admin stuff I can push to next week or next month or until it's due, but most of the time there's loads of stuff to do. And stuff often feels like this. It's what we commonly refer to as glue work. And it is often attributed to the women on the team or the emotionally intelligent people. Now everybody is emotionally intelligent. Everybody can do this stuff. But as an engineering manager, a lot of that falls on me. And that is problem solving, mediation. So trying to get two people who are maybe fighting with each other into a room and talking it out. Conflict management, coaching, mentoring, listening, because sometimes people just need to vent and that is fine. Sometimes people just need to be left alone and just need to be given some space and need to be reminded that they should take a couple days off maybe, because that's good for the mental health as well. So that is stuff. And stuff is something that you can't plan for, because some weeks there might be nothing going wrong, and some weeks the house is on fire constantly. So that's the fun bit of the job. And that's actually my favorite part. Now I'm talking a lot about management. I'm sometimes using management and leadership interchangeably, but I want to make clear how I define these two words. Manager is a job title your employer gives you. It's something that we get paid for. It's something that we can write on LinkedIn. Looks good, makes us feel important. You can only be a leader to those who want to follow you. I believe you can't call yourself a leader if you don't have anybody who wants to come with you on the journey. So the only people who can give you the title of leader are the people who are on your side, who are willing to follow. So everybody can be a leader no matter whether they have manager as their job title or not. Now, let's get into the science bit. The person-centered approach, notice that this is actually the person-centered approach. The person-centered approach is a form of psychotherapy that was established in the 1950s by this man, Carl Rogers. It is an empirically researched approach to psychotherapy and the first proven to work approach to psychotherapy. And it is a non-directive approach, meaning a person-centered therapist will never tell you, do this, then this will happen. It very much comes from the perspective that you as the client are the person who is in charge of your own life and able to solve your own problems. Dry air. Okay. Now, the person-centered approach is a huge topic, and I could talk for 3 hours to you, but you probably are not interested, so let's break it down into 3 core conditions: congruence, unconditional positive regard, and empathy. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what each of those are. Congruence is a state in which a person's ideal self and actual experience are consistent or similar. This is a mouthful. It's basically the ability to relate to people authentically without hiding behind a professional or personal facade. Meaning, we come as we are, we don't pretend, we don't play a role, we don't make ourselves to be anything other than we are. We just authentically relate to people. Unconditional positive regard means accepting the other person without conveying disapproving feelings or actions. It's demonstrating a willingness to attentively listen without interruption, without judgment, and without giving advice. Especially in psychotherapy, people don't give advice. Therapists are not there to give advice. Which, as a client myself, is always a little bit annoying because I want to go there so that the person solves my problems for me. And then they tell you, no, you have to solve your own problems, which I wonder then, why am I paying you? You are here to solve my problems. But they're just helping me figure out how to do that. In empathy, all of us have empathy. It's the ability to understand and appreciate another person's perspective. Now, there's a difference between empathy and sympathy. Empathy is the ability to understand what another person is going through. And sympathy is feeling those feelings as well. That is the dangerous part. This is where you want to remove yourself and not feel another person's pain, because you can't help. If you're dragged down by that person's experience, you will never be able to help them. Okay, now, how can we apply this to person-centered management? This is not an official approach. This is something that I came up with for my own management practice because I wanted to do a good job, because I like science, and I like psychology, and I like communication theory, and I think all of this is very fun. So I came up with my own set of very loose rules to define a management approach that is based in actual science and research. So, the person-centered management, or a person-centered management approach, applies to 3 core conditions of the psychotherapy approach. Congruence, meaning I come into my conversations with my people as me, not the manager, not the representative of the company, but me. Sometimes I'm having a good day, sometimes I'm having a bad day. And people know that, and people accept that. And people appreciate me being me, so they can be themselves as well. Empathy. I empathize with people. I try and not feel their pain, but just let them have it and experience what they are currently feeling and talk with them through that. Now that's the tricky one, the unconditional positive regard. Because sometimes you can't accept everything that a person does as a manager. Sometimes there's behavior that you need to correct. Sometimes there's things that are going wrong. And also sometimes you just don't like a person. And that's fine. So this is the one that is very loosely held in my life. I can accept people for who they are. That is fine. I don't need to like everybody. And sometimes I need to help a person correct behavior. Another thing that comes into my person-centered approach to management is active listening. Active listening doesn't mean just paying attention. Active listening means really taking yourself out of your own head and being present, trying to repeat what the person said in your own words to make sure that the person really got their point across, that you really understood what they meant. Active listening is about understanding that person's context. It's about actively trying to understand and being interested in what the other person is telling you. Becoming a better communicator is one of my goals always. I'm going to share a couple of tips and a couple of frameworks on how I do that. And improving my own resilience. I'm going to talk about that too. Now science. This is communication science. And this guy, Friedemann Schulz von Thun, who not only has the most German-sounding name in the world, but was also a very important communication scientist, established the 4 sides of communication model. And that basically means that whenever we send a message, meaning when we say something, when we write something, when we send a text message, we're not only conveying the message, but also 4 different messages within that. And when we are receiving that message, meaning when we are reading it or when we are hearing it, we are receiving 4 different sides, and we interpret a message in 4 different ways. Now, example. The factual information that we receive, you have missed the deadline, is the factual information. There's a deadline, it has been missed. The self-revelation that comes with that message could be what the speaker reveals about themselves. In this case, I'm worried that the client will blame me. When I say you've missed the deadline, maybe I'm implying that I'm worried that I will get blamed. The appeal is what the speaker wants to happen. When I tell you that we missed the deadline, what I mean is work faster, so we don't miss the deadline again. And every message also implies a relationship between the speaker and the listener. So how are we getting along? And in that case, it could be, you should know that this is important to me, that we don't miss the deadline. Now, this is all from the speaker's side. From the receiver's side, the factual information, we have missed the deadline. This says speaker, I'm sorry, this is wrong. What the listener reveals about themselves by listening to that. I'm so unreliable, the person thinks I always mess up. What does the speaker want to happen? I should work faster. What's the relationship between us? I disappointed them and now they hate me. So all of these things we imply in our conversations. So make sure when you communicate that both are on the same level. If you're sending on a specific level of these, then please make sure that the person receives it on that same level and explain what you actually mean. It's very difficult to always stay on the factual information, but please make sure that if that is exactly what you want to arrive, to say that. Now that's the 4 sides of communication model. We also have non-violent communication. Doesn't mean that other communication should be violent and fought with swords. It just means that if we are in a conflict, a way to avoid conflict or to get out a little bit and just cool down is to communicate in a specific way. Nonviolent communication works with observations, emotions, needs, and requests that we communicate. For example, when my observation, I feel an emotion because I need something, would you be able to do something? So in the case of the missed deadline, when the team misses a deadline, I feel stressed out because I need the customer to be able to rely on us. So would you be able to tell me in advance if you can't make the deadline next time? That would be non-violent communication. I could also say, we missed the freaking deadline and now the customer's gonna hate us. But what does that solve? Nothing. In this case, we have the request of next time, you now know why this is important to me. Next time we're gonna do better. That is the non-violent communication framework. And we're almost through. Got all of my sciencey bit out of the way. So let's talk about resilience. Resilience is mental fortitude. It's the thing that we need to survive pandemics, and stress and layoffs and all of the stuff that's happening in tech all the time. It's the capacity to withstand and recover quickly from difficulties, so to bounce back after all of this stuff. It helps us harness our inner strength and deal with setbacks and challenges, and it helps us to handle stress better. How do we build resilience? It's not difficult. Everybody can build resilience. One of the things you can build resilience with is to build meaningful, positive connections to people around you, your family, your friends, your co-workers. Everyone can be a positive connection. Learn from your experiences. Take care of your body. Sleep enough. Eat as healthy as makes you happy. Unfortunately, also exercise. I know nobody wants to take their stupid mental health walk for their stupid mental health, but it's important. So yeah, unfortunately, moving your body really helps you. I'm very sad about that, but it's a thing we have to do. Practicing mindfulness, however you do that, it might sound a little woo-woo to some people, but meditation, relaxation, taking a hot bath, going for a walk, watching a nice movie, reading a good book, all of that is mindfulness. Nurture a positive view of yourself. Accept yourself the way you are. You're fine. It's all good. Setting goals for the future so that you can have that positive outlook. I know the future looks very weird at the moment because we don't know where this is all going, but try and set achievable goals and be flexible about them. And this is how you build the mental fortitude to suffer through all of these things that our industry is throwing at us at the moment, because we have no idea where this ship is going. There's AI and there's layoffs and X. So in order to weather that storm, I hope you all build resilience so that you can help your coworkers, you can be a positive connection for other people, and you can be a positive influence on this space. And remember through all of this, I know I've talked a lot about psychotherapy, but you are not a therapist, unless you are. And that is something important for managers. We have a scope of practice, and that scope of practice does not involve psychotherapy. And we are all allowed to say no. People should not be trauma dumping on their managers or co-workers just because they're good listeners. There are professions for that. And if you're not a therapist, please don't try and be one, but send people on. Help them find resources to deal with their struggles without getting dragged into their problems. So the last point I want to remind you all of, it's important to always put on your own oxygen mask first before you help others. Because you can't help anyone if you're not taking care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of the day.